we should be live.
Share your screen though.
It is May 20th, 2026, 8:07 p.m. How you doing, John? I will get my screen shared.
I'm doing good, Jack.
Excellent.
The weather is nice in the northern hemisphere.
It is this time of year. Where is my, there we go. Okay, I'm just going to do that.
Love the weather this time of year. All right. So we got perfect chart. Perfect. So, um, just like I said it would, rejected off the 200 SMA, but also I got that from Benjamin Cohen. So, but so that's another thing. Like this episode, Jack, we were gonna talk about how do we know when the bottom is in.
Mm-hmm. That's
Well,
right.
one way we can decide is that little target you drew.
Yep.
When the price gets to that little circle you drew, what what's the date on that circle?
It's around November 26th.
Okay, so yeah, well, about when it gets to that circle, you can probably buy right there and then. So that's one way to tell.
It might be actually, I think I probably should have drawn the circle
Or just
back
leave
in
it. Just leave it.
October.
No, what's dope about this is we drew this like a while ago,
Yeah.
like, and it's perfect. Like, just leave it.
Yeah.
This is what's gonna happen, folks. Uh, and okay, so if I was brand new in crypto and I was brand new in investing, what I would do is I would get a Robinhood account or any account where I can buy Bitcoin that I can do it with like a recurring automatic buy. Like I'm pretty sure you can do that on Cash App. I'm pretty sure you can do that on Coinbase and Kraken, and I know you can do it on Robinhood. I do it on Robinhood. If I can set up a recurring payment, so it just comes out of my bank account every week or every 2 weeks or once a month, whenever my paycheck hits my bank account, and set a dollar amount that I can afford. If it's $1 or $10 or $100 or whatever, so that it automatically is withdrawn from my bank account the same day as my paycheck hits my bank account, and then just so then that becomes a dollar cost average. I personally do this. I do that. Now I did fancy things like sell the top and try to buy the bottom, but don't worry, I'm botching it. So I should be following my own advice to newcomers because I'm a newcomer too. I just started investing in 6 years ago, and I'm not a day trader. So even if I spend a lot of time looking at the charts, I'm not good at controlling my own motions. And even if I do make the right move, I did sell it. I bought the exact bottom in 2022 and I sold the exact top in 2025. But my emotions make it so it's hard for me to stay out. Like my whole plan was to stay out from when I sold the top in October, and I sold it. I sold half my Bitcoin on October 5th, and I sold the other half on October 7th. And the top was October 6th. I mean, I nailed it. I was waiting 3 years from when I bought in November of 2022, December. That's when I was going in hard into Bitcoin in 2022, and I waited 3 years and I nailed the top like to within a day. But I'm still screwing it up by I picking up pennies. Like I was buying around 60, 70,000 after it dropped those little green arrows right there on the chart. And I did sell at like 82,000, right when we were about to hit the 200 SMA. I sold that. Like I did it right, but I've done a few chopping around in the meantime, and fees and everything. Like it's really hard to trade Bitcoin without some big fees, right? We discussed that before too. Like you know, Coinbase is like 1% fees. Robinhood is 0.85% fees. Kraken is a lot less, but it's still at least 0.1%, if not 0.2%, which that's not too bad. But Cash App has high. Cash App is over 1%. That's
unless
like,
you DCA through them,
yeah, you can DCA through them.
and there's no fee.
Yes, so that would probably be a good spot to DCA would be Cash App. And And that is definitely, if you're not used to trading in general, uh, to just set it and forget it. Just DCA. Start now. You
Yeah,
don't
of
have to
course,
wait.
we're not financial advisors, of course, and this is not financial
Yeah,
advice,
this is
but
just what I would do if I was new, and it's what I'm doing right now. I'm not even new, and I'm still doing it because it's a more for me. It's a more emotionally relaxing way to do it. Right? I'm not even. What's optimal? Buy the exact bottom. Sell the next exact top. Buy the exact next bottom. That's what's optimal for money, but it's not optimal for your emotions. Even if you get it right, it's still not like your emotions are going to be going nuts. Mine do, and also if you're not skilled at it, you're not going to nail the top or the bottom. So if you're new, which this is advice for new people, just DCA. And if you start now, even though it's not the bottom yet, if you start now, you will be buying through the bottom, like as it's coming down. So it's like it's looking like you're losing money at first, and you're gonna, if it does bottom in October, you're gonna lose money as it's going down, but you're gonna be buying the whole time. So you're gonna be buying as the price goes down. You're gonna be getting cheaper and cheaper Bitcoin. And when it does finally bottom out, you're still buying it, and it does finally start going up again. As it starts going up and up and up, you're gonna have scooped up a lot of cheap Bitcoin, and it's going to look real good. And then you can like, once you're in profit, you can just stop and sit on it. But I would suggest, as long as you're still making money at your job, as long as you can afford DCA buy into Bitcoin, just do that. Just DCA buy into Bitcoin. Now, I wouldn't say that make it your only investment. I would never say that to anybody. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. Maybe buy some stocks, maybe buy some gold, maybe buy whatever the hell you want. Buy some real estate.
Pokemon cards.
Sure. Well, I mean, they do well. I mean, I can't really knock Pokemon cards. They do well, but I mean, but for those of us who want to be a little bit frisky, and you can do a combination of both.
Or
In
like,
fact, I'm doing a combination of both. I'm just
exactly.
buying.
That's what I was going to say is that the reality of
Yeah.
the situation is that yes, you're right. It's if you're not good, you might miss the bottom, you might whatever. On the other hand, from my perspective, and I am no good at this either, right? I'm trying to learn and get better just like everybody else. I did not sell the top perfectly because I didn't think that the top was in. And so, like that's somewhere I need to get it. That's where I need to improve. And I want to get better, and I want to get this bottom.
Okay. Well,
And the thing is that I'm not going to just wait until October and put all my money in, because well, what happens if it continues to go down? Well, then I'll be upset because I put all my money in too soon.
okay. Well, let's look at the top because generally a good way to do this, and maybe for a moment set it to the weekly or even the monthly. Weekly's probably. Let's look at the weekly how that looks. Um, zoom in a little bit so we can see the candles a little better. Well, you can kind of tell here, even on the weekly, you can kind of tell that we were in an uptrend for a long time. And then when we hit the top, now we're in a weekly downtrend, right? Lower highs and lower lows, right? You see there's about 3 highs and 2 lows so far. Um, can you zoom in a little more, Jack? And then if you want to, why don't you mark the highs and lows there since the top. So you have the very top marked, but then mark the next 2 lower highs. Use the yeah, you can do that too. That's fine. Yep. Yeah, we have that low marked, and then the most recent lower high, right? So as long as we're in a week, so the first thing I want to say is, as long as we're in a weekly downtrend, then the bottom's not in yet, right? So that's one thing to look at. As long as we're getting lower highs and lower lows, then the bottom's not in. So then let's look at the previous bull market. Um, so or let's look at the 22 bear market. Let's call it, yeah. Okay. So then see if you can mark the highs and lows of that last bear market in 2022.
All right, I'll do it better this time.
And yeah, you
where
can
did
use
the
that. So,
arrow go?
yeah, it takes up less space on the chart.
Where is the arrow though?
Good question.
There's a vertical line. Ray. I saw it before. I know it's here somewhere.
Try the paintbrush things and see if there's options underneath that. Yeah, up
Where
arrow,
do we go?
arrow
Where?
mark up and arrow mark down. So arrow, yeah, down two.
Okay.
So the arrow mark up is good for the bottoms, and the arrow
I'm
mark
just
down.
gonna use the arrows though, and then I can point it
Yeah,
to.
but they're bigger and clunkier. See, that's why I don't like them. They do that.
Where was that under?
It says paintbrush.
Paintbrush. Oh, it's right here.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a low and then a lower high from the top, and then I went way down. There's a low right there, and then a little tiny bit of an uptrend, and then a whole, just a whole bunch of, like three lower highs in a row and three lower lows in a row until that little green arrow is the final bottom. And why don't you point out the first higher high right there? Already right there, the bear market's over. Right there. Do you see that, Jack?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily know that at the time. I mean,
But that's
because
when you got to go for it.
well,
Like
because
you got to just go for it.
I can't tell you how many times I've put money into a situation like this only to have it end up down here.
But it's a higher high.
I know. I know what a higher high is. I know what a higher high means. I've seen a failed rally,
What?
after a higher high. Like
Put it on the daily chart.
so that's why I get so nervous and why I don't always pull the trigger there because I have pulled the trigger there and then lost money.
That's okay. Let's look at the daily chart.
So where
So
is
first
I
of all,
got
it's
it.
12 months from the top. The green arrow bottom is about 12 months from the top. So that's one thing to look for. And then so when we're looking at 12 months, all right, and then zoomed in a little. Okay, so another thing that happened before that higher high is it crossed the 200. Notice the price crossing the 200. So that's another time you could pull the triggers. Right when it crosses the 200, you can pull the trigger. And
I
then it did a throwback to the 200. That's another time
yeah,
that
I might do the I might be more comfortable on the
yeah,
back
the
test.
throwback to the 200 is a really good time to buy in. I bought some on that throwback to the 200. I watched that and I'm like, okay, this needs a whole. I bought some and that's when I finished going all in. Like I bought some at the bottom there, and I bought some as it went up, and then it started coming down. I was like, oh, did I go in too early? Oh, and I was like, wait, the 200's there. Is it going to hit that 200 as support? And then I was like, okay, I'll buy at the 200. If it goes down more, I'll just sell everything. But it held it as support, and then it was bull market on.
Yep. Yep.
So that was the throwback to the 200. So you can just use that 200 as confirmation. And we can look at a previous bull market or bear market. Let's look at 2018. Okay, 200's resistance, and then the bottom is in, and you probably need to zoom in and put it on the weekly for a minute because we're probably going to be watching the weekly downtrend, right? As long as it's in a weekly downtrend, it's the bottom's not in. If it's still a weekly downtrend, then it's going. Don't hold it. It's going down. So weekly downtrend, and then let's zoom in at the candles on the bottom there, because then we have a higher low where it used the weekly 200 as support, and then it started a whole bunch of green candle weeks in a row, and then that big huge green candle burst through for a higher high from that one right there. Yeah, yeah. And again, 12 months from the top.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but then let's put it on the daily, right? So we don't get faked out. Let's put it on the daily. Zoom in a little more on the daily, so it's a little tighter time
Oh,
frame.
we lost it.
Just hit auto so it finds the chart. Oh, there you go. You got it. So there's the 200, and on that big surge, that one big weekly candle. Again, that's when it crossed the 200. That's again when it crossed the 200. Same thing.
It was
Same
it
thing.
was it was one day.
Yep. Same as 2022. Did the exact same thing in 2018. Did the exact same thing. When it finally confirmed, that's when it that's when the weekly showed a higher high for the first time in the whole bear market. At the same time, the daily crossed the 200 for the first time in the entire bear market. The exact same thing happened in 2018 and 2022. When the bottom was in, the weekly chart had a higher high, and the daily chart crossed the 200. That's your sign.
Hmm. Wonder
Now
if
it doesn't
people would
it
call that.
doesn't it doesn't catch the exact bottom, but that's your confirmation.
Hmm.
Like when that happens, it's on. Like it's all the way on.
Okay.
And let's try 14. See how it did back then. You put in the weekly because we can see the weekly downtrend first anyway. Because the daily trends go all over the place, but that's what the daily 200 is for. But we'll look at the weekly because we'll be watching the weekly chart to watch the weekly downtrend. So you can see a weekly downtrend. This one's real clean. There's a little bit of a where there's a little almost a higher high. What is that? I can't read the dates. To your left a little bit, a few
This
weeks
is
to your
this is
left.
July.
Yeah, there's a high point there. Is that higher than the other high point right
No,
before it?
I mean not
The
in the
double
wick,
top maybe?
not in the wick, right? The wick on this one is
Yeah.
higher, but the
Okay, so
bodies,
so it is a
the
it is a
bodies are
lower high.
higher. The bodies it closed higher here. It is a higher high if you
Yeah,
count
but
the
a
candle
weekly
bodies.
wick. I mean, that could take a weekly wick could
This
take
is
all
the
day.
this is the wick. This is the candle body. It's technically a higher high.
Oh, it is a higher high.
Yeah, it's technically a higher high because the candle
Just barely.
body is higher than the candle body.
Yeah, just barely though. And but then let's look at the daily for what months are those highs?
Um, that is June of 14, and then this is March of 14.
June and March. All right, let's look at what the daily chart was doing at that time. And this might be where it went above the 200. A little bit
Okay.
of a fake out.
Ah,
So this is not a perfect indicator because I think there is a fake out we're about to see right here. That's 2018.
this is?
Yeah, I can just tell by how it looks. That's 2018. That 2017 is such a long bull market. All right. Yep. So it did. So there's a little bit of a fake out right there, right? Where we had a higher high in the weekly and it went over the 200,
Mm-hmm.
but just barely, right? Like the both in 2018 and 2022, it went like right through the 200.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been faked out right here.
Yeah, that's a
If I'm
little,
if I'm following exactly what you said, then this would have gotten me,
it's a little bit of a fake out.
right? Because then you're still coming back down. Oh, you're
Yeah,
way down. Oh God.
yeah. So yeah, you do have to be careful for a fake out. But let's look at the end of that bear market. So that's the bottom right there, but it still kind of stayed down for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
We weren't sure if the bottom was in yet.
Came up here. We put in a
Now
higher
there's a
wick
volume
high,
spike.
but yeah, it was a well, but
There's a
here's a
volume
volume
spike,
spike.
so that makes a difference, but it's still below the 200, right? And it looked like it was coming up to 200, didn't even get to the 200, went downtrend again.
For a while.
And there it crossed over, and then I don't think it even held on the throwback. I think it went below it.
Mm-hmm.
So it went through it, and then scroll more to the right.
Ah. Yep, fell back below it.
Yeah, it fell back
Oh.
below it. Um, but that was a higher low. This is a brutal bear market.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, dude. I mean, I didn't have any Bitcoin during this time, but that's a brutal bear market.
hmm
And then finally, it decisively went through it
Well,
and
I
didn't even
wouldn't
back
I
test it.
wouldn't even call that decisive. This is look
Well,
this is on low volume. I mean,
it's a smooth parabola though.
it is they are, yeah, walking up the wall of worry.
Yeah, it's a smooth parabola. And then when it did pull back, it had a nice higher low,
hmm
like not even close to the 200. So this isn't perfect, Jack. It definitely, you know, that's why that 12 months is so important. Put it on the monthly chart. Let's look at that. And we can start with 2014, just because that's the one that's tricking us right now. Is the 2014 run, the 2014 bear? I mean, bear run. Giving your mouse a workout here.
Uh-huh. Keeping my scroll finger strong.
Yeah. Um, I wonder if this gives us any clues. Um, well, you can kind of see a change in the nature of the chart. There's a clear monthly downtrend from the top to the bottom.
hmm
It's pretty clear. Then we have that wick, and then it kind of just goes sideways after that, which is not necessarily the start of the bull run, but you got to think like, okay, we were in a downtrend, now we're in a sideways trend, and then what is that? Looks like about July of 2015. You see that big green candle in July of 2015.
This it's 14 July of 15,
Uh,
August of 15. So
maybe I'm sorry, maybe
where's July?
July, maybe it's more like September or something.
Right here. This one? No,
October.
November.
Go back 1 month. That one right there. So move your mouse so we can see it. That's October, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that October candle, I think that's a little bit of a higher high than maybe June or July, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah, it is.
No,
What is
no.
that month?
It's not a higher high than this.
No, July.
Yeah, I'm saying this. Oh, or July of
Yeah, right there.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a higher high than
Okay,
than that.
so we have a low that we marked in the green. We got another low in what is that? April, May,
Uh,
August?
August.
Yeah, so we got a low, we got a high in July, a low in August, and then a higher high in October. That technically is a uptrend. It's not much of one. It looks pretty sideways, but then we have a huge green candle right after it. Like that really confirms it, right? I mean, Jack. Honestly, that's what it is. A bear market is nothing but a downtrend, and a bull market is nothing but an uptrend. And you got to just look at the different time frames. You got to look at the monthly time frame. You got to look at the weekly time frame, and even the daily, and just kind of feel it out. Um, and you can look at different indicators. You can look at the RSI. You can look at the moving averages. You can look at Bitcoin compared to the U.S. dollar, which we're doing, but you can also look at Bitcoin compared to gold. You can look at Bitcoin compared to the S&P 500 for different benchmarks, um, and, and you just kind of put it all together. This is just the pieces of the puzzle. Yeah, we didn't even look at the RSI. Let's look at the RSI there. What's the RSI doing?
I mean, yeah, downtrend until October, which is, what do you know? That's that candle.
Yeah, and then it
Or
crossed over the moving average for the RSI.
Yep,
Um,
that's what I meant.
and it,
As soon as the RSI got on top
yeah,
of its smooth moving average, it looks
and the
like bull market was back on.
and both the RSI and the price kind of went sideways when it hit the bottom. It stopped going when it no, go back to the bottom of
I'm just looking.
2014.
Sorry.
Oh, you're cheating. You're looking ahead. Let's go back to the bottom of 2014. So notice the price and the RSI kind of start going sideways. Now that's notable because it used to be a downtrend, right? Both the RSI from the top, both RSI and the price were in a downtrend. When the bottom hit, we didn't know it was the bottom, but what we do know is it stopped going down. You can see it in the chart. The RSI and the price stopped going down once the bottom was in. Didn't go
Mhm.
up, but it stopped going down. And then when it did start going up, that was the bull market. And so you could really buy anywhere in. You might not catch that wick, right? That bottom wick, you might not catch that. But you had time. You had one. How many months is there after that bottom wick? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. You had 9 months. If you bought anywhere in there in those 9 months, if you bought anywhere in there, you would have been doing great. If you were dollar cost averaging during that time, you were doing really great.
Right. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into DCA just in this area.
Well, and that's playing a little. So zoom it out just a little bit, like 6 months on either end of that bottom. Like let's say, okay, see that wick, to the, just to like 4 months to the left of the bottom.
Hold on a second. So what now? This one?
Just that low, no, to the left, like four
This?
months to the left of that, like 4 months to the left. Yeah,
Here?
right there. Like you could start there, and you could even DCA up past that October where the bull market started, and kind of catch that whole bowl, right? Like that's good enough because you're DCing, right? You're not lump sum buying right there at the start. You're just DCing, so you're just buying a little
Well,
bit,
for me, I have capital. So I'm not just, you know what I mean? Like I have a lump of capital now.
right? But you could right, and if you had a lump of capital
And
in that,
that's also what I'll be DCAing with. Do
right,
you know what I'm saying? So I'll be acquiring when it's time for me to buy crypto, it's going to be with my pool of capital that I have dedicated for such things, right? I add to that pool of capital when I can, but
right,
that's something else entirely, right?
and
So my
you're trying to move
DCA,
a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time,
well, it's just the way that I, rather than buy crypto without looking at anything, like without just blindly, I don't just blindly buy crypto on a certain day, right? Like I instead on a certain day put money into a pool, and then when it's time to buy crypto for one reason or another, I'd start to DCA out of that pool. You know what I'm saying?
right? And all I'm saying is like assuming the top should be in October. Today's May, so May, June, July, August, September, October. October is 5 months from now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you started now, you got to prepare to DCA for 10 months. You could wait a couple months, then it would be three. In 2 months, it'll be 3 months from October. So then you would DCA for 6 months, right? It's like through that bottom. But you just have to be right about that. Where like you can be. It depends like on how tight of it. Like, do you want to DCA for a period of 12 months, 10 months, 6 months, 3 months? Three weeks.
I want to maximize my DCA at the lowest points possible, and right, like
And
so
how
for
tight do you want it to be? Do you want it to be within a day, within a week, within a month, within
I
3 months,
within 3 to 5 months.
3 to 5 months?
So I know I'm within 5 months now, but this does not look like the time to start.
Okay. Well,
You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah, because it's a local high.
Right.
Um, yeah. Well, you could wait for
I'm waiting for a capitulation,
yeah, we'll just wait for another
like a
downtrend.
volume spike on a big red candle, and that is kind of what because I'm gonna kind of, at least this is the plan right now, is that when we have when I have something like this or something like this,
So
uh,
the crossover. Do you notice the 12 and 26 crossing over?
here,
Yep. When
okay,
is
um, September.
that? I mean, that wouldn't be a bad time to start. Let's look at 2018.
Hmm. They don't really cross over.
The crossover is right at the bottom, even after the bottom. Okay, let's look at
This
20.
there's no crossover. They just get
Yeah,
close and then kiss. They kiss
that's
and
not it.
yeah.
That's not a reliable signal. We tried on the weekly though.
Oh yeah, this is the monthly.
Yeah. See how the crossover, because that crossover of the 12 and 26.
Ah,
The one reason I like the 12 and 26 EMAs is because those are those that's the crossover for the MACD. So it's like I have a MACD indicator on my chart without having the MACD indicator on my chart. So it's another indicator is that crossover of the 12 and 26. Um. So yeah, and again, it
you
didn't even cross
missed it.
over until after. Yep. So that's not going to work.
Hmm.
We don't have to worry about that. That's not going to work. We'll try the daily and see what that does.
Oh, what am I?
So you could do the 12 and 26 crossing over the 200, but that's even slower than the price crossing over the 200. But it might avoid a fake out. Check out 2014 because that's where we got faked out on that 200 crossover when the price crossed over the 200 was reliable in 18 and 22, but in 14 it was a little fake out. But maybe the moving averages will work in 2014. Oh, look at that. It had a little double pump.
Where's that?
Well, because it crossed over right there where your mouse is,
Mm-hmm.
but then it went below again and crossed over again. If you go to the right, see,
Mm-hmm.
it went below again, but then crossed over again.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're DCing during that time, like that would work. It would be scary. I mean, look how much of a roller coaster it was.
But not
But
really. This kind of looks range bound, you know. Then
yeah, but
you
look how
take
big
off.
that is. Like if you're in that, like that's a big range. That's the bottom is what 200 or so, 199, and it goes up to 324. I mean, that's a pretty big range. And it was megaphoning too. Like it's megaphoning because like you see that it's both a lower low and a higher high. Do you see that on that chart?
Lower low and a higher high. This is
Yeah,
a
right.
this is a higher low.
This is a higher low. Yep. Yep. Mark it. Go ahead and mark it. That higher low you just had. And then and before that we had kind of a local top. You can mark that too. Yep. Yep. And then go to the. Do you see that next high? It was a little bit higher high.
This one,
No. Farther up.
this one.
Yeah. And then the next low is a lower low than the previous one. That's why I'm saying it's
Oh,
mega.
I see. I thought you were comparing it to this.
No. Yeah,
Yeah, but that's a wick. I mean,
yeah.
wicks don't matter that much. Actually,
They
it's a body too.
they do when you got your life savings in it and you're watching it.
Well, you shouldn't be right at that point
Right.
because we have not determined that this would be the opportune time to be DCA.
Well, that's a great time DCA. All that time is a great time DCA.
Well, then you wouldn't have your life savings in it.
Near the end of it, you might.
Maybe, but by the end of it, you're looking at this.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's a good time DCA. Like that's the bottom. That whole section is the bottom. That's, that wick or that you're on right now. That's the exact bottom. But if you're DCAing like all the way through those blue arrows, is a good time DCA. Right? If you zoom out a little bit, you're like, okay, that's pretty much the whole bottom section. Like if there was a time to DCA, it'd be between those blue arrows, and of course the green arrow as well. But um, yeah, the other moving averages aren't telling you much there.
Mm-mm.
I mean, the 2014 one's pretty tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Try but the 2018 and 2022 were very similar, but this one, could be more like 2014. We don't know yet.
Right.
Try the Bitcoin gold chart or the Bitcoin.
Actually, we're in a half hour. I'm going to go ahead and say
All
we're
right.
going to wrap this up. I think I think we've successfully determined that, like we can determine when the bottom is in. We just haven't determined, you know, how we can know a good point to start, DCAing in an opportune time.
Yeah, I mean, we're just looking for the trend change is what we're looking for.
Hmm.
We're looking for the downtrend to turn to either a sideways or an uptrend,
Hmm.
and looking for that to happen around month 12, which would be about October 2026.
Right.
Um, and just that's what we're looking for. I mean, that's why it's so hard to be exact. Like you don't, it's even charting man Dan is like, I'm not gonna nail the bottom. I'm just gonna, trade it. But he's not gonna, it's
Wish I knew how to take a like the bar pattern where they just like
yeah,
copy this right here and then overlay it because it looks very similar.
yeah, yeah.
Anyways, all right. Well, hey, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks so much. If you subscribe and turn the bell notification on, you'll get a notification next time we go live.